Okay, are you okay to proceed with a summary of Arya's arc in the last few
Sure,
books?
sure. So I guess to give a little bit of backstory on Arya, she's really been through the ringer in a lot of ways. She's experienced a lot of the horrors that Westeros has to offer, and to kind of show it all, she after escaping from King's Landing after the execution of Ned Stark, she joins the Night's Watch, which is then ambushed by Amory Lorch at a holdfast, and she is then captured and taken to Harrenhal, which she then escapes and is then captured sort of by the Brotherhood without banners, and is then escapes, and then is captured by the Hound, and then escapes, and has now found passage to Bravos on a ship called the Titan's Daughter with the coin that Gyken Hagar gave her, a faceless man who helped her kill some of the players in Harrenhal, and she has used that to make it to Bravos and has now shown up at the House of Black and White, where she has been offered a place in the Temple of the Many-Faced God, and she has become an acolyte of the Faceless Men. In this process, she first begins by being planted, I guess, as a apprentice to a fishmonger, and she is given the alias, the title of a Cat of the Canals. And from there, she helps him, and in that process learns Bravosi, which I believe is the first task she really is after. And then after that, during that experience, she discovers, I guess, Sam, who is currently having a stay in Bravos, trying to get down to the Citadel in Old Town, and there she helps him when he's being accosted by a pair of Bravos, the swordsmen of Bravos. And after that, she finds Darren, who she finds out was a sworn brother of the Night's Watch, and promptly kills him because he betrayed his oath by evidently leaving the Night's Watch. And in response, the kindly man, the guy who is kind of in control of the House in Black and White, the guy who's leading her training, blinds her with milk of some kind that I can't remember. Warm milk is all it's really called. And in that process, she is forced to learn how to deal with her blindness, and becomes a beggar on the streets, labeled the ugly little girl in the chapters, I believe, or just the blind girl at this point. So she's living as a beggar in the city, trying to learn how to deal with her blindness and to be able to use her other senses to act. And during this process, she discovers that she is capable of warging into cats to give her vision. And she also, during this time, is having dreams of Nymeria back in Westeros, and that helps kind of keep a connection to the Arya Stark that was, as she is steadily sort of having her identity taken away from her by this training. And from there, when she finally gets her vision back, she is given a new guise as the ugly little girl, where she's given the mission to assassinate a merchant, I think, on the docks, who she successfully kills off with a poisoned coin, because he always bites the coins that he takes when he does his deals. And from there, we leave Arya, where she is being given a new mission, I think, to join a man. I don't remember the name of the man, but she's giving a mission to join someone far off from where she currently is, and she is now going to be a little bit prettier. That is the face she gets, and we get this little image, this scene of seeing how the faceless men change faces, which is really interesting. So yeah, that's where we leave Arya off. And I guess the first question I would ask is what is the kindly man's agenda? Why did he pick Arya, and what does he have planned for her?
He's looking for a female assassin because they didn't have a female assassin for quite a bit of time, right?
Okay, so they have to balance it out. Okay, that's the only reason he picked Arya. No, I don't know.
And people say the faceless people, or faceless men, they're very anti-Targaryen, they're very anti-Valerians. Yeah. So could we see one day her being sent to kill Dany or something?
I think that's definitely an option. I think because, of course, to be a faceless man, you cannot be ordered to assassinate somebody you know, and she does not know Dany. That's
she doesn't
for sure.
know Dany, yeah. The other option is people think that she may not complete her training or something, and she will quit halfway.
Well, why are the faceless men going to be necessarily against Dany when they started off as slaves who killed their masters? Won't they kind of approve of her kind of proto-enlightenment, anti-slavering ways?
Oh, yeah, that's very true. Yeah.
It's not just that, though. I think that they try to be autonomous and unbiased in the decisions they make, and they pretty much only take jobs that they are given by other people. They don't work off their own agenda. So there's that too.
Okay, so they're like the A-team.
Yeah, I suppose of a sort. I remember the name of the person she is being sent to be apprenticed to, and it's Isambaro, who we know absolutely nothing about, but we know this is her first like one-on-one apprenticeship. And talking about this idea of Arya eventually, hopefully, getting back to Westeros and becoming a factor in that game, a lot of people think that could be the blacksmith in King's Landing that I also can't remember the name of, but the guy that Gendry was. Tobomot. Yeah. Tobomot, who was the master of Gendry at the time, which would make for an interesting bit of connection between her and Gendry, who she's obviously lost to at this point. But the reason for that is because when Ned, I think, enters his blacksmith, he notes the fact that the doors of the blacksmith are, one is black tree and the other is a weirwood, so it's black and white, akin to that of the House of Black and White itself. So what do you guys think? Do you think that Arya is going to be sent back to Westeros, or do you think that she is having a long tenure in Essos along with many other characters?
I think she's going to escape halfway through her training. I think when she feels like she has enough skills or something, or she's given an assignment that's too hard for her. We see her already disobeying some things, like she did not throw away needle, she hid it instead. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think she's going to be like an evil badass little Luke Skywalker who's like, oh, I need to quit my training and go help my family. And then it's going to be like Yoda, who's like the faceless man's going to be like, no, you should stay. She's going to be like, no, I need to go. And then I think I don't know how it's going to happen, but I think there's going to be some machination where she is paid to kill one of her own family. Because I think that would be the most dramatically tense. And you've had Arya becoming gradually more and more desensitized to violence and less of herself, and I think that would be the ultimate jolt back into Starkdom.
At this point,
so the names...
Can Arya leave her training? Even if it was no one else is involved, the Chemical Old Man or any of the other acolytes, can Arya leave in her own mind? If she's decided to do this and join the program, join the training to be a...
Well, in the beginning... They did say she could leave whenever she wants. I guess the question is she more invested now than she was then? Obviously, she is, but is she to the kindly men and the other people of the House of Black and White? Will they let her go after what they've given her?
Because she does kill Daeron for leaving the Night's Watch. So does she feel like she has to stay for the Faceless Man training?
Oh, okay. So is she's loyal?
A stickler for rules.
Okay.
Yeah, she might. This might be a rule that she doesn't want to break or something. I was also thinking of all the names that she chants, right? I mean, she wants to kill the Mountain. She wants to kill the Tickler. Cersei is the only one alive, right?
Tickler's dead.
Of the entire list, Cersei is the only one alive right now. I mean, she wants to kill Lillian Payne also. There are a couple of people, but Cersei is the only big name left there.
That's true, and I guess the question is, will we see a confrontation with her and Cersei in the future? A lot of people think that, because like you say, she is the big name. I guess the next big thing is when we talk about this, of her potentially escaping, breaking away, has she been able to maintain her autonomy, and is that something that the kindly man is not accounting for? Does he not know about the fact that she can warg into the cast to make the blindness easier? Does he not know that she is able to warg into Nymeria when she's sleeping and is thus able to maintain her connection to Arya Stark? And of course, the fact that she's still thinking the names and those things. Is he not accounting for that fact?
I feel like he knows everything.
He must, okay. But I thought the whole rules of the game were that, although we don't know them all, that people who use magic can also see other examples of magic, which is what makes the Faceless Men less able to exert the power they might otherwise use. So I think that if he surely must be able to detect her warging ability, for instance.
I don't think the faceless people are opposed to magic or anything. I mean, they're free to they use poisons all the time, so I'm sure they are willing to use any tool that fits the job. I think they just have principles like not to use excessive force or something, like when she was asked to kill the merchant or the guy who insures the ships. Arya was like, "I'm going to kill the guards. I'm going to kill this guy, and then I'm going to get to the guy." And the kindly man was, "No, that's not the assignment. Your assignment is to just kill that one person.
Oh yeah, no,
So
sorry.
whatever
You
gets the job done."
I wasn't clear. I think they have the ability to use shape-shifting and proper magic, even though sometimes they just use mama's tricks, and they have more discipline about when to use it. But I think that typically in the books so far that we've read, when people have that ability to use magic, they can also detect others using it. In other words, I don't think that Arya would be able to. I think they would be able to detect Arya's ability to walk and what she's up to. I'm not sure she'd be able to keep that much secret from them.
Now, I'm struggling to remember examples of this. So do you mean detect as in they have some kind of spidey sense that tells them that they're using magic, or they just recognize when magic is being done? Like, it's visible to them?
Yeah, the latter. I mean,
Okay.
I'm struggling to think of it now, but I'm sure there are examples all through the books of people.
Because it sounds like very much like a Harry Potter thing.
Or like
When
Dragon
Dumbledore
Ball Z,
goes
the
to,
power levels.
But I think a lot of, I mean, that's why I find Arya's story quite hard to sort of, I don't know, I find her quite a hard character to deal with ever since she's left Westeros, because I do find it a little bit Harry Potter, or I don't know, the cliche of the fancy girl who goes away and has lots of adventures and does lots of cool shit. I mean, I find it really at that level of kind of Luke Skywalker goes off to Yoda.
Yeah, I guess the big question for me with Arya moving forward is what is her next step? Because I think that, like Sansa, she's kind of in a transition phase of who she's going to be later. Obviously, that's something a lot of the characters are experiencing in this pair of books. But I guess the big question is, like I say, will she have some kind of autonomy moving forward? Will she be a completely loyal drone to the House of Black and White? The reason I say that I think they might not be aware of the wargame is because they already have their own form of shape-shifting and taking control of other forms, and I get the sense that when they have that power, they're kind of blind. They're putting on blinders to other kinds of powers that might be similar. And it seems like that Arya is capable in sometimes of lying to the Faceless Man of what to the kindly man of what she is capable of, or at least he's not bothering to confront her about it.
I was going to say the thing that Jake and Hakar came up with, giving Arya 3 wishes, and that seemed like a very spontaneous thing to do. I don't think that's a thing in their operating manual. If somebody helps you out, return the favor by killing 3 people or something. So I think they have some autonomy. They just have some rules, like not to kill people you're familiar with, not to kill people who don't deserve it, or things like that. As long as she obeys the rules, she can kill anybody she likes, I think. I think she can have somebody else kill Cersei and Alien Pain and things like that as a favor or something.
Then again, she was punished of a sort. I guess you could consider it a continuation of her training, but she was sort of punished for killing Darren. Though that could have just been she said that she killed him as Arya Stark, not as a faceless man. So I guess the whole point is the main rule is that you do not do things of your own volition, which is why I feel like her sense of autonomy is in question.
So anything else about Arya we can discuss here?
There is one thing. Let's see. So this was when I read A Feast for Crows, and I had just finished reading the last Arya chapter, and she wakes up blind. My first thought towards that was, and I don't think I've seen this anywhere else, so I thought that she possibly could have warged into Mr. Aemon.
Oh, I don't know.
But at that point, no, that doesn't make sense, because at that point, Mr. Aemon was dead.
Yeah, it seems like a bit of a reach. That probably can go in the crackpot theory box. But, I don't think that Arya's warging power is anywhere on the level of Bran. I don't really think anybody really stacks up to him in terms of that ability to warg into humans in any sense. But I think that the warging power for her is more of an augmented tool to assist with her physical abilities and her ability to kill people.
And I think, and the only reason Bran, I think, was successful because it was Hodor. If he tried to walk into Mira or Jojen, I think he would
Yeah.
have failed.
But there is that stepping stone where he might be able to do something of that caliber moving forward, which is deeply disturbing if he is on the wrong side.
I mean, if anybody can do it, it should be Bloodraven, right? Who can walk into people, and I don't think Martin has ever done that with him, or that we know
not that
of.
we know of. Yeah, not that we know of. But most of what we know of Bloodraven occurred well before he became what he is now. At least that we are visibly aware of. He could have been pulling the strings a lot more than we think.
Mm.
One thing that I find interesting is the fact that faceless men can also they can change their face, but they can also change their personality and become that person that they're. Yep. So they mention that the girl which, the ugly girl which Arya becomes, Arya suddenly shares the nightmares that girl would have because of her past. And also there's the mention of they can change their voices.
That's a very good point. Yeah.
There's also, have any of you read the kind of the grand theory of everyone, the faceless men rule everything theory on Westeros?
I don't think I've read that one.
I don't believe.
I mean, it's literally called something as ludicrous as that. And there's the idea that they can even take on the body of someone else. Like if you had a freshly minted killed body, and there's a theory that Varys takes over the body of Qyburn. It's pretty outlandish. I'll send you guys the link for the show notes.
Yeah, I feel like Bloodraven having the ability to do that is slightly more plausible than that, which is not too plausible in and of itself. But I think they have a role to play. I think that they have the power to be a force in Westeros. I think we potentially see that with the murder of Balon Greyjoy. I think that the Faceless Men were involved there with that one vision we see with the Ghost of Highheart. But I don't think they have that kind of power.
Wait a minute, Bina. Are you saying that Varys is a faceless man?
That's the theory, that he's not only a faceless man, he's like the uber faceless man.
But everybody thinks Varys is everything. They think he's a Targaryen, Blackfire, Merling, which we've never seen anything about Merlings in the books, which is...
Have you heard the theory that Varys is really Tiana Merryweather?
Huh?
What? No. I've seen... Okay, no. Okay.
It's really Varys just changed his shape into Tiana Merryweather during A Feast for Crows. And also you've seen Varys in disguises during the series, so that's what made me think he would be a faceless man.
Yeah, but when Tyrion responds to those disguises, it's not as though he's convinced that Varys is a very convincing woman in those cases or things like that. I think they're just disguises to get around a little bit more easily, not full-on conversions. The theories abound. I think we're getting a little bit off topic, but even it's not a big deal. Yeah. I guess that just means that we don't really have much more to say on Arya. I am interested to see where she goes moving forward. I think that it'll be interesting to see if she does maintain that autonomy, and I hope she does, because I think that it would be quite boring for her to just continue this life as a faceless man forever and forever, but I want it to be in a more complex and hopefully more believable way than her just running off Luke Skywalker like to go save the day.
Do you think it's inconsistent that, I mean, she continues to be one of the most popular characters that people love, partly because she's so adorable in like the first book and so feisty, but do you think it's bizarre that we give her a free pass on a lot of that kind of stabby type of activity? In the way that people will still hold a grudge against Sansa for like shopping her father into Cersei. But
I think that's just a natural reaction to a lot of these characters, where a lot of people experience that warrior princess trope with a lot of these characters, where they're willing to accept a lot of the dirty deeds they do just because of their badass appeal or just how cool they are. Like Arya as an example, or Daenerys, or even like I don't know, Ygritte or somebody like that.
Yeah, I think in this world, killing people is like a very common thing. I mean, and of all the people, Arya probably has the least body count than anybody else. So yeah, it doesn't really bother me. And I think the TV people are really calling for Arya to become a sneaky ninja or something like that and avenge family.
I find her to
They're
be...
getting the ninja.
I find it.
Yeah. Any shot of a ninja and people will be disappointed.
I just find that a lot of people's attitudes to Arya to me are like people's attitudes towards Tony Soprano, insofar as we know he's doing this like deeply immoral shit, and yet because he's just so charming and funny and feisty, we give him a total free pass. And I'm just fascinated by, on a meta level, the fact that people still find Arya and Tyrion so lovable, even though they've descended into something quite self-interested and nihilistic in a way. And yet characters like Sansa still get quite a hard time. But anyway,
Yeah.
you know, it is what
Definitely a point to be made there. Yeah, it's just, yeah, like you say, it is what it is.